topics. We have with us in the studios Professor Muditha Vidanapathirana, Chairman of the National Child Protection Authority, is joining with us. A very good morning to you, Professor, and thank you so much for being a part of the show.
Very good morning.
And starting off with, child protection, it has been, one of the most, it's been of paramount importance. But before we dive into that, let's have a little bit of a chat on what exactly National Child Protection Authority is and how, what kind of initiatives it has been up to.
In fact, I must extend my sincere gratitude for giving this opportunity to the National Child Protection Authority to discuss our vision, mission, and our action plan for next 5 years. In fact, in 1979, that was a very decisive year. United Nations, they declared 1979 as the Children's Year of the world. So based on that, in 1989, United Nations again established a Child Right Commission, CRC, UNCRC. Based on that, in 1991, we ratified as a government to this Child Right Convention. Then, in 1996, a presidential commission was appointed to look into the issues of child protection in Sri Lanka. Based on that, in 1998, an act was passed, that was National Child Protection Act number 50 of Sri Lanka. And based on that, in 1999, the first Child Protection Authority was established, and the first chairman was one of my teachers, Professor Harindra De Silva. So I'm very proud to take over from his position. Then in 2019, it was a very decisive year because we got the National Child Protection Policy approved in the Cabinet. And based on that, now we are in the process of developing the action plan for next 5 years, 2020 to 2025, with the blessings of our Minister, Honorable Pavitra Vanyarachi, and our ministry, and with the support of all stakeholder ministries, 14 ministries, and other stakeholder non-governmental organizations. We are in the process of developing the action plan for next 5 years, and we are targeting to finish in by April this year.
Okay. So, Professor, when it comes to, now that's the history of the National Child Protection Authority in Sri Lanka, and also how it came to Sri Lanka in a global influence. And so when it comes to child abuse, it's a term that we all know, but we don't exactly know the true definition of what child abuse is, because you can say that even for a victim, you wouldn't know unless you know what the definition is, whether you are getting abused or not. So what is child abuse in your own terms?
Yeah, in fact, Varuna, if you consider the term child abuse, it has many definitions. There is no consensus among the scientists and among us on one single definition. For example, Meadow once mentioned treating a child unacceptable to a given culture at a given time is considered as child abuse. Further, if you take, for example, if you take genital mutilations, female genital mutilations, about 50 years ago, it was for that particular culture would have been accepted. But for the current culture, and given this point of time, there is few different views on female genital mutilations. That's why some people, they identify female genital mutilation as type of child abuse. So UK, they have a different definition. They say any act of commission or omission that harm a child's development, safe and healthy development into an adulthood. Likewise, in Sri Lanka, we have a huge legal definition. That is, any act of commission or omission that contravene or breaks some provisions listed in our act. Those are two acts, provisions of two acts and two ordinances. That is, penal code, few relevant acts, and young persons CYPO, children and young persons ordinance, and employment of women, young persons and children, and the compulsory education. We have a special law from 2016 onwards. A Gazette notification was issued making up to 16 years old children should get compulsory education on the education ordinance. So if you break one of these provisions, it is considered as child abuse in Sri Lanka.
Okay. So Professor, if I can ask you now, imagine there's a victim, and imagine someone's getting victimized by this child abuse, and then what's the first thing that they can do as an individual? Maybe rather than reaching, maybe it could be the parent that can be abusing the child. I mean, there were some news items also reported today as well. So when it comes to that, if you become the victim of this child abuse, what's the first thing that they can do individually?
Yeah, children have a lot of rights. In fact, most of the children, they are not aware. Therefore, I am planning and I am requesting this week from all the FM media as well as TV media to allocate at least 15 minutes for Child Protection Authority. Not to talk about child protection, but a special theme, child and law. So then children come to know about their rights and the limitations and the law relevant to children. The other important thing is they become our future adults.
That's right.
So for example, children get abused. The most vulnerable three places are the home, the religious centers, and the educational centers, our schools. They are again the adults. One time they were children, but we didn't teach them the law relevant to children. So we hope if we can deliver and if we get this opportunity in time to come, there will be set of adults. They know about the responsibilities, limitations, and the law relevant to children.
Yes. And also currently, Professor, in the Sri Lankan context, what are the most common issues that are faced by children when it comes to this theme and this topic?
Yes. In fact, world over, the most common type of abuse is negligence. The adults, they neglect children. But according to our statistics, 2019 statistics, the main component is cruelty to children. That again, part of negligence. For example, cruelty to children is assault, ill treatment, negligence, or abandoned a child by a person who is having custody care charge over a child, and such person can be sentenced for 2 to 10 years of imprisonment without fine. So that is the most common type we come across. We get these cases through 1929, lot of complaints. It's a toll-free, child-friendly telephone line. 1929. So it is open 24 hours, 365 days. If you complain regarding your next door, some kind of incident, abuse for a child, your identity will be secured. Don't worry. It is confidential, but the child will be rescued by us and protect. And so this is very important. Then the other types are care and protection issues. The other few sexual assaults, for example, rape cases, grave sexual abuses, sexual harassments, and in some instances pornography, obscene publications, and child prostitution, such cases. And we get disturbed mainly by non-schooling street children, child begging, and child trafficking, such cases. So we come across about more than 20 types of child abuse cases a year.
Wow.
Yes. In terms of education, Is there any educational policies to bring more knowledge into the curriculum? Are there any initiatives focused on maybe from the school level what we can do to education on, well, what is good touch, what is bad touch, what is the crossing the line like, what is the kind of situation you don't want to be in? Education, from the perspective of education, what are the options we have?
We have a lot of awareness programs in the community as well as for children at school. What my main intention during this year is to introduce, as I mentioned earlier, a special module in curriculums from grade 6 to grade 11. I'm going to start these discussions with the Ministry of Education and National Institute of Education to request them to include a special module on child and law from grade 6 to grade 11. Then they come to know their rights, limitations, and the steps they can take. At the same time, it might take little time. That's why we are planning to take air time by requesting the FM radios and TV stations.
Okay. Prof, if I may ask you, now how many cases do you usually get per year when it comes to child abuses reports?
In fact, the last year it was around 5,000.
5,000
That is through 1929. But I have seen after I was appointed as the chairman in this institute, and we now work very actively, very positively towards the children and to protect children. And people, there's huge confidence has been developed among people. Therefore, now we see, earlier we got about 20 cases per day through 1929. But now we get about 40 cases a day. I don't believe that there is increase of numbers, genuine numbers of child abuse, but we get a lot of previous cases.
Right.
For example, neglected huge number of cases we attended during last 2 months.
Okay, so we'd like to remind you about the number, this hotline number that you can reach out to them if you want help and also assistance, or if you know someone who wants assistance. The number is 1929, as you can see on the screen. So you can dial this number, and the line is open for 24 hours every single day. You can reach out to them and report if there's any case that you want to report to the NCPA and reach assistance and help for those who are in need. And Professor, once again, now when it comes to the new suggestions, like now there can also be reforms that you can see in the future when it comes to developing the policies and certain other infrastructure in the institution, in the authority. What do you look at mainly for this development?
In fact, we have a lot of suggestions during last 2 months. I have already proposed to our board more than 16 new suggestions to improve the protection of children in this country. For example, you take the child development centers. Those are usually called as Lama Nimasa. But we don't call them Lama Nimasa now. We have completely changed the terminology, child development centers. So these are usually periodically monitored by the National Child Protection Authority. And we give 3 colors, red, orange and green. Green is the best level of centers. Now I changed it to stars, single star, 2 stars and 3 stars. And we have already uploaded in our site the criteria to become a 3-star child development center. Therefore, the daycare center, the owners or the managers, they can themselves improve their child development center. It's in other words, it's a bottom-up approach. They will improve their center. In addition to that, we have identified minimum standards. For example, chairs, tables and beds. I have requested to sketch all these equipment and their sizes and we are going to upload those.
Right.
If you want to celebrate your birthday
Yeah.
or any meritorious act, you can donate, but at least a minimum standard equipment to one of these child development centers. Like that, it should be a bottom-up approach, and we can find a good standard child care centers. In addition to that, I have suggested receiving centers for children. Some young mothers, for different reasons, maybe political, maybe economical reasons, maybe legal reasons, they kill or abandon or injure small newborns or infants. We are planning to establish 9 such centers in each province, attached to main hospitals affiliated to Department of Pediatrics, pediatric wards. A small window. It is open 365 days. Those are called receiving centers.
Okay.
Anyone, if you need to dispose a newborn child, please give to those centers. Those will be in practice by December this year. We have started discussions with a few NGOs as well as the government, and we are going to set up that facility for our mothers.
That's really great news.
Yes, that is definitely something that's very appreciative. And once again, thank you very much, Professor Muditha Vidanapathirana, Chairman of the National Child Protection Authority, for joining with us. And
Thank you.
also, we would like to kindly remind the hotline. It is 1929. In case of any emergency or circumstance pertaining to child protection, please